Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Car Reviews Podcast here on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Before we get underway with some great cars for this week, I wanted to let you know that we also have the Collector Car Stories podcast, where we tell the story of a fellow enthusiast or group of enthusiasts. Usually we have a particular car to tell about, or a collection, or an event, or maybe even a road trip. So if you think you might have a story that our viewers would be interested in, please hit us up. You'll see a contact us page on every page of the website, contact us link rather, on every page of the website at CollectorCarCanada.CA, or you can send us an email directly, admin@CollectorCarCanada.CA. And even if you don't have one, do take a look at those podcasts. We have a lot of fun with them. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, but especially share. We find that the enthusiasts of the world have friends who are also enthusiasts, and it's always fun to share a great story or a great car like the ones we're going to talk about today on the Car Reviews Podcast. So we have more cars than we normally do to tell you about, so I'm going to try to come up with one detail about each car just to minimize the length of this intro before we get to the cars, which I'm sure is the reason you're watching. First off, a 1965 Mercedes-Benz 230 SL, also known as a pagoda, just because of the concave shape on the top of its hardtop. So this one is a convertible. It's got the soft top built in, and it's got a removable hardtop, which again has the concave shape to result in the pagoda nickname, we'll call it, pet name. 2.3 liter inline six, a real icon of the 60s, and just a beautiful, elegant looking car. The one thing I want to tell you about this is we shot the video before the owner installed a modern Sony head unit. So we do have photos of it in the detailed listing for lot 224 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. But as you see this video, you're going to see a hole in the dash, and that's for the Sony head unit, which has since been installed. Next up, a 1961 Triumph TR3A, and I was really knocked out by the two Triumphs we have today, owned by the same owner, a Triumph enthusiast going back to the 60s and 70s when he raced Triumph cars. He's bought both of these since, so these have not been raced. They're after his racing days. But we featured his 1966 race car in the What We've Seen section of the website. In case you want to see it, you'll find it in a post we did back in February or March of 2024. But on the 61 TR3A, known as a TR3A in North America, just TR3 in the UK. But it's hard to only mention one item here. But so I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to mention a couple. The engine of this car, originally a 1991cc engine, is a little larger displacement now, and that's because the rings and pistons of to a T4 spec have been installed. So that results in an increase in displacement to 2,138 cc's. But I'd be selling it short if I didn't talk about the amazing, well, it was a cosmetic and mechanical restoration in 2010 to add on to the restoration I just mentioned that brought the engine displacement up back in the mid-90s. But in 2010, Honda Arctic white color paint was applied, and that's over a really dramatic red interior with white piping on the seats. It's just a fantastic stunner. But please have a look. That one is 226 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Next up, we have another Triumph from the same owner. So this one, he bought this one for his wife, actually. So this one is a 1972 TR6. So another Triumph, and this one's an inline 6, not an inline 4. The interesting thing about this car, among many others, one of which is it won a Best Exterior Award at a show last year. We've got a picture of it on the detailed listing, and this car was worthy of it. Mind you, I'm surprised it didn't win an award for the interior. But the interesting thing about this car to me is that it has been upgraded to a 5-speed transmission by Toyota, and that's an HVDA Toyota 5-speed upgrade. A lot of detail about that on the detailed listing, which is lot 226 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Next up, first generation Mustang. We have modern Mustangs a little more frequently, and often when we have the modern Mustangs, people are asking, when are you gonna have some first generation Mustangs? Well, here's another one. We still have the 66 convertible as we record this available. It's lot 218 if you wanna have a look at it. But here I'm here to tell you about a 1972 Ford Mustang convertible, 302 V8 with automatic. It's lot 217 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Interesting thing about this car to me is that it was with the original owner for over 50 years. So the current mechanic owner bought it from the 50-year owner back in 2023, got it safetied, and it's since undergone a nice a bunch of mechanical refreshes. So it's ready to go for the new owner. That original owner bought it at Mohawk Ford, still in business in Hamilton, Ontario, and he was in Cambridge, and that's where the car is available from today. Next up, we have a 1973 Mercedes SL, so sort of the successor to the 65 230 SL I've already talked about. This one's a 1973 450 SL in a light blue over tan interior. It's got the color keyed hardtop that comes with it, and this one's originally a U.S. car, straight car, very good mechanically, owned by a mechanic as well, and it's not A1 in terms of cosmetics. Nothing to hide though. Please take a look at our detailed listing. You'll see exactly what I mean, but we do make an allowance in the reserve price for the non-number one condition cosmetics. So that one, 1973 Mercedes-Benz 450 SL, it is lot 213 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. And the last one is just gonna be a bonus car. I'm not going to describe it because we're not sure if we're gonna run it with this group of cars. And why is that, you ask? Well, we normally launch cars on Tuesdays, and we sometimes launch cars on Thursdays if they're a car needing a bit of work. And of course, we disclose all the work we figure it needs, and we adjust the price to allow for that. So if we have that one, it's gonna be a Thrifty Thursday. And if not this week, we'll be telling you about it next week. We're just waiting on a couple of last pieces of information from the seller, and we don't like to go forward with a listing until we have the full picture. So just a recap, here's the order you'll see them in. 1965 Mercedes-Benz 230 SL, lot 224. Then we have a 1961 Triumph TR3A, restored and modified, lot 226. Next up, 1972 Triumph TR6, a 5-speed manual with the Toyota HVDA 5-speed upgrade. And that one's modified, as I'm saying, and it's lot 226 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Then we have a 1973 it's a 1972 Ford Mustang convertible, V8 with automatic, power top, still running like a charm. It's lot 217 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. It also reminded me of lot 218 on CollectorCarCanada.CA, a 1966 Ford Mustang convertible available on our Buy It Now lot. And lastly, with certainty, is the 1973 Mercedes-Benz 450 SL in blue on tan, US car originally, and it's lot 215 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. And the only hint I'll give you on the mystery car, which may be launched this week, it may be launched next week, is it's a car that's much newer, but very similar in color to the 73 Mercedes. Okay, that's enough out of me for now. Here come the cars. Thanks for watching. And please don't forget to like us, subscribe to these so you're the first one to know, and share them around with your car friends. Thanks, everyone. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Car Reviews Podcast here with CollectorCarCanada.CA. Today, I'm really excited to be showing you a 1965 Mercedes-Benz 230 SL Roadster. This car is also known as a Pagoda, which is just a nickname it earned from the concave top on the hard top. So there is a hard top included with this car, and of course the soft top today is down. So if you want to see pictures of the car with the hard top in place, we have many on our detailed listing. So lot 224 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. I'm going to start up the car, and then I'll handhold the camera. We can take a quick, good look at the engine, hear it running, and we'll also have a listen to the exhaust. So here we go with a startup. So no trouble at all starting the car up. I'll just give it a little gas to get it to an idle. And as I'm looking at the tach here, it's running at about 750 or 800 RPM, and it's idling nicely. I'll add that the engine's pretty cold right now, so once it's warm, it'll idle nicely. Just keeping an eye on the tach here for us to get to idle. Okay, so the 65 230 SL by Mercedes-Benz has achieved a nice warm idle. And we'll just get a closer look at some of the details under hood here, and then we'll have a nice listen. So it's a bit breezy today. I'm going to let the hood down. Because I didn't want the hood to go down in an uncontrolled fashion. I'll worry about the rest of it when we're done with this intro to the video. But in addition to listening to the engine, of course, I want to give you a listen to the exhaust here. Twin polished pipes here on the 2.3 liter inline six. So here, let's have a listen. Okay, so I think that gives us a good listen at the 1965 230 SL by Mercedes-Benz. Now we'll move on to an exterior tour of the car. So we'll start our exterior tour of the 1965 Mercedes-Benz 230 SL Roadster here from the front. A very elegant grille, and the headlights are really elegant. Period. Just elegance of the period on display, as well as the big three-pointed star in the center of the grille. There's another Mercedes-Benz logo here at the front of the hood. And working our way around. So a chrome one-piece bumper up front. And when we get to the rear, you'll see how the bumper in the rear is a two-piece unit, also chrome. And then original style wheel covers with that three-pointed star with matching paint color. So over the wheels, there's matching painted wheels, as well as the matching paint wheel cover, and sort of outlined in chrome, and trim rings in chrome as well. The tires on the car were mounted when the current owner purchased 7 years back in 2017. He opted for quick and got a set of Moto Masters. It's a 14-inch wheel. I think I remember seeing 185/70 But I'll double check on that when we get to the side that's in the sun. I'm having trouble seeing the reading on the tire from here. Another elegant touch is the pinstripe here, double pinstripe. That's a decal though, so if someone wanted the monochromatic white look, it's easily removed with a heat gun. And a bit of cladding down here for protection on the side of the door and the fender and quarter. Mentioning the quarters and the fenders, 3 of the 4 corners are replaced. So again, we're not talking about a number 1 car here. And without the owner pointing that out to me, I probably wouldn't have pegged it as such. But he's being upfront, and we've tried to include as much of that in our description as we could. Another area he pointed out, I'll get to those that two-piece bumper here in a second. He pointed out that there's some filler in place here, and when I look closely, I can see that it's been in use. But again, this is a car that you can fool a lot of your friends with, and you can fool a lot of people while driving down the road, because without the up-close look, they'd have no idea that this isn't a number 1 or number 2 car. But as I say, I was talking about the 2-piece chrome rear bumper. So both sides of chrome looks very good, no pitting. There's a good look at both. And then the exhaust finishers in a matching polished look as well. So 2 pipes coming out. The consistent pinstripe over on this side as well. And here's a better look at the set of 4 matching Motomasters. They're date coded 2017, and the size of the tires is 195/75 R14 all the way around. So square setup. 2017, as I say, for the date code, and that matches up to when this seller bought the car in 2017. Again, this seller has done a few miles with the car, under 5,000. It most recently had an oil change. While it sounds like a long ago, at 2022, he estimates he's driven the car under 500 miles since. So maybe it's time for a change, but not because the oil be dirty, just because it's getting on in age. So one little detail here is this antenna, manual antenna. There's a shot of it in the detailed listing for the car with it raised. So I'm not going to raise it now on the video. It's a bit stiff, as you'd expect for a 1965 model year, but it does raise, and it's functional if there's a radio in place. We'll get to that in a moment. But just I'm going to zoom in on the elegance of that headlight. It really is a pretty piece, and like they say, they don't make them like that anymore for a nice 60-year-old car. But looking down the side, I won't call it flawless because it's not, but it's very presentable. On the driver's side here, there are a couple of really light dings in the driver door. I don't even know if the video will pick them up. I had a hard time photographing them as well. So with that said, they're not very major, but I'll do my best to pick them up with the video camera so I can see them while I'm standing this far away, but from here, I do not. Lots of chrome on the car, lots of chrome touches. So chrome driver's side mirror. Only one side mirror on this car, which was pretty standard offering in 1965. No passenger side exterior mirror. And we've got this for air intake to the cabin. And chrome even for the windshield wiper arms. Chrome windshield surround. And where the hardtop gets attached. We're not going to show the hardtop in this video, but we do have photos on the listing for, showing off the hardtop for lot 224 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. One little piece here, you can see how this is well covered. The top mechanism is well covered. Mechanism might not be the right word because it's not power, but if we go over to this side, that little cover piece is missing. So I don't think it's the end of the world, but again, we want to be upfront as we can because this is not, we don't claim it to be a #1 car. And speaking of that, I'll try to show some of the flaws in the paint. There are some flaws in the paint. Many of them have been touched up, but I'll just go through them because we're trying to give you the full picture. And I'm just using the tuning here to give you a sense of perspective. So there's something that's been touched up. Another one here that's been touched up. And then down here, right up here at where the hood comes up. There are pictures on the detailed listing of the clamshell hood in the up position. So the hinges for the hood are on the front, in other words, when I say clamshell hood. And then just along the opening here for the hood, there's some paint imperfections. Do you see a little bit of dings here? Not sure if the video camera will even pick them up because they're quite light. And then some touching up's been done here on this fender. I mentioned earlier about the light dings in the driver door that, as I say, I'm not sure if the camera is going to pick them up. I showed you where there's some filler been inserted on in between the two rear bumper pieces. And here's a little bit of touch-up paint as well above these tail lights. But that gives you a good sense of the condition of the car, cosmetically, I suppose. Not a perfect one, but pretty presentable. I mean, a 1965 230 SL for restoration, you're going to be paying up for, and that's pre-restoration. So this is a long way ahead of a car like that. But I'll walk around to the other side. We'll take a little tour of the interior. I just dropped my tuning in case it went through the camera's view. So climbing in, even that latch and the feel of the door feels like the old style German manufacturing. Before I climb in, I'll show you that. So these are vinyl seats, white vinyl. And this driver's seat does suffer from a cut. So it'd be probably pretty easy to reupholster just the seat back, maybe even that one section, because that's the only tear I see in the seats. There's a little light cracking, I suppose, there on the passenger seat. I guess I'll call it imperfect but lovable. Manual windows on the 65 230 SL. That's the door latch, and that's the manual lock. There's a mat pocket here. And then climbing in, as you see, it's a 4-speed manual. So you can see the 3 pedals in place down there. Good solid driver door, as you hear. And here's a look at the instrumentation by VDO, still a mainstay among German manufacturers. A 7,000 RPM tach with a red line around 6,500. And the speedo that maxes out at 140 miles an hour. The current owner is not sure, but he believes this to be a Canadian market car. He purchased from a longtime owner in Toronto. And of course, 1965 is before the time that we in Canada embraced the metric system. So in 1965, all of the speedometers were in miles per hour. And then some accessory gauges in the center for coolant temperature, oil pressure, and the fuel level. And in the center now, the cabin does blow air through it. However, the HVAC otherwise has been removed. There is a dealer installed, I suppose installed is the wrong word. There was a dealer installed air conditioning system, which comes along with the car. There are photos of it in the detailed listing. Again, lot 224 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. But some of the ductwork is not in place, so to get it reinstalled correctly and properly, it's going to take a little bit of work, but most of the parts are there. When I say most, that's because I'm excluding some of the ductwork that is missing. I think this area is for a cigarette lighter, and it is missing. And as I said, there's no radio in place. I was referring to the antenna earlier. So, but a standard size, pretty easy hookup probably for a radio. The glove box, I haven't tried to open it, but I might need a key for that. So I'm not sure about opening it. I do have the key here. Maybe I'll come back to it. It's just hard to do with just the one hand. There is a beautiful VDO clock, but it's right twice a day. So it's been at 4:07 since we arrived. So it's not running. Not sure about the condition of it. Matching door card over there with the manual lock, manual window, and the latch. And the carpets do show some, probably some sun. Bleaching's too strong a word for it because it's not that pronounced. But they do show some wear from the sun. But they are a pretty thick plush carpet. And the mat over here on the passenger side matches. And there's a good look at the floor underneath. I'll show you the driver's side when I climb out of the car. And another item that the current owner did was to install lap belts for both passengers. So yeah, this car was originally manufactured with no seat belts. So climbing back out, I think I lost my tunings here in the driver's seat. Might have lost one forever. There's a good look at the interior of the door. You can see here that was the original color of the car. So it's a little more noticeable over on the passenger side. So I'll give you a good look at that as well. And there's our driver's side seat belt. Putting the seat back. There's my tuning. I get to take it with me after all. And matching carpets here in the rear. A couple of speakers. So car seems ready to go if the new owner wants to install a new head unit, because there is an antenna. There's a pair of speakers back there. Handbrake in here. And there's a good look at the floor on the driver's side. The 3 pedals, of course. While I'm thinking of it, I'll wander over to that passenger door and show you that color of the original paint. So there's a bit of a look at it. There is some paint chipping on it. Not visible when the door is closed, of course, but now that we have the door open, we get a good bit of a look at the better look of the original color on the 1965 230 SL. And here's a good look at the nice clean trunk. I'll show you the trunk lid. And there's a nice vinyl covering for the floor here. One item that was interesting that the owner wanted to tell us about is that this is a very early 1965 model, built certainly in 1964. Midway through the 1965 model year, they went from a vertical stored spare tire to horizontally stored. So that's a tell that the car is an early 1965, the vertically stored spare tire. We'll peel back this vinyl covering, and you can see a pretty nice metal floor there. And there's another separate piece to it here. I'll show you that as well. And as far as the underside goes, we've got a dedicated video to the underside. So I'm not going to shoot that in as part of this video, but just take a look at our detailed listing, lot 224 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Excuse me, as well as the video. There's several dedicated stills as well. So there's a good look at the underside of the car on the detailed listing. Okay, so here's a good look at the engine compartment. Now that I see some of the graphics, I'm going to move over to the other side, but there's a photo of this on our detailed listing, but I'll show off this data plate now while we're on this side. There's another important one on the driver's side as well, so we'll show that when we get over there. Kind of a neat look with the clamshell hood and front hinged hood. And here's the other data plate I wanted to show you, both in place. And here's a good look. So many might assume that a 230 SL implies it's a 2.3 liter, which is correct. They might also assume that an engine that displacement is a 4-cylinder engine. However, there they'd be incorrect. We've got an inline 6 here. And if I get in close, it even displays the firing order of the cylinders. And there's the big oil cap and the 3-pointed star in place as well, a couple of places in the valve cover. And but a nice presentable engine bay. This is part of a fairly large collection for one person here in Burlington, Ontario. And it's with a person who definitely cares for his cars. You might have noticed we sold an Acura NSX, a 1996 Acura NSX in August. And that had been stored at this private facility for 2 or 3 years. And that was because the ailing owner is a good friend of the owner of this car. So the owner of this car let his friend store the car at his site and his indoor heated facility, which is quite a piece. You might notice some of it in the background of 1 or 2 of the videos or photos. But as they say, 230 SL to imply a 2.3 liter. This one's an inline 6, factory rated at 170 horsepower. Running nicely. Do check our detailed listing for lot 224 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. There you'll see a startup, engine idle, and exhaust video, as well as several driving videos to show that power plant propelling the car forward. Hi everyone, and welcome to another great car here on the CollectorCarCanada.CA Car Reviews Podcast. Today we have a 1961 Triumph TR3, known as TR3 only in the UK, known as the TR3A here on this side of the pond. Refinished in white in the 90s when it underwent an exhaustive restoration. Few miles since, it still looks great. We'll get to that when we do the exterior and interior tours. That Honda white paint is over a red interior with some white piping accents. For now, what we'll do is we'll start it up and then we'll take a listen to the engine and exhaust, as we often do on these. I'm also going to shoot the hood release procedure, because this one is a blast from the past. It's a little unlike modern cars, certainly. Being that it's 63 years old, you can understand why. But yeah, on with the startup, and we'll go from there. Wow, nice easy start here for the 61 Triumph. I'll just make sure we've got this shifter in neutral before I climb out, and we do. And I'm just grabbing the tool we need to open up that hood like I was mentioning. And here's how we release the door. I might add that the car does have a soft top, and the side curtains were new with the restoration, if not more recently, and they're quite a robust item. There are photos of the car with them in place and photos of the items themselves in our detailed listing. Again, lot 226 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. For now, I'll come grab the camera and we'll start a handheld camera portion of the video. Okay, another look at this beautiful 1961 Triumph TR3. But before we go over to the hood, I'll just demonstrate the 2 tools I have clanging around in my hand. So this is the original piece. It's still good for the spare tire compartment, which I'll show you when we do our exterior tour of the car. But it has had some wear over the past 63 years, and this tool is a lot better for releasing the hood, as you're about to see me demonstrate how it's done. So again, I'm not using the factory tool for the hood release. Certainly the 2 tools both come included with the car, but you can see a little spot for me to fit this tool in, and we release it, pop right up, and as you might guess, there's another on the other side here. And I think that was released as well. Sure is. Okay, great. And then another standard kind of hood latch here to get that up and clear. Away we go. Then there's a prop rod. A little tricky to do with one hand, but it releases like so and drops into place here. So here's a good look at the inline four. Let's take a listen first and then I'll tell you a little bit about it. And the twin carbs. So as the engine's purring, I'll tell you that originally this car was built with a 1,998cc engine, so just short of 2 liters, 1998cc. As part of the restoration in the 1990s, TR4 pistons and sleeves were fitted, so that's resulted in a moderate increase in displacement. The best way to find out the exact displacement is to look on our detailed listing for the precise figure. I'll tell you right now off the top of my head, it's in the 2138cc range. So probably about a 10% or so increase in displacement going from the stock TR3 pistons and sleeves to the TR4 pistons and sleeves. So one last look at that engine. Let's head back to have a listen to the exhaust back here. Single exhaust with a nice polished tip. So I don't think there's any need for that engine to stay running. So I'm going to cut that down. As you can see, I couldn't really show this when I started the car, but the key's currently sitting in the on position, so I'll kill that. So in addition to having turned the key at the time, I also pushed this. This is the starter button to push to get the car started. So this prop rod's a little trickier to come down just because the catch is so firm, the rubber catch that I'm about to place this rod into. I'm not sure if the camera can see it or not, but I'll handhold it once I get it inside. So there's a good look at the mechanism. The rubber is quite firm. It needs 2 hands to get that rod inside of the rubber. But as the owner told me, most of them have decayed rubber and they slide right in nowadays, but this one's certainly been replaced. So that's shut, and then of course I got to do the hood closing procedure in reverse to get that down and staying. So put that one in, and I think we have it. Pretty simple once you get used to it. And that one's in as well. Okay, so we're getting later in the day. It looks like we've lost our sun for the glam shots of the car, but it still does look great. Almost all of our shots of the exterior of the car for the photos are in the sun, so nothing to hide in this one. First thing I'm going to do is get rid of this tool for the hood, because I don't need that for the rest of the video. So here we go, another good look at the TR3. It's got its own look, certainly on the front. Lots of chrome bumpers with the 2 bumperettes. Triumph inscript on the chrome above the grille. And then a TR3 specific badge up here above the Triumph script. So the one flaw I did see in the paint, again, the paint was applied in the 90s, and it's a Honda shade of white. Sorry, I don't have the exact color during the video, but please do refer to the online description of the car, the detailed description of the car online for details on the paint. But there's a slight bit of bubbling right here. We've got a photo of it close up with a Looney coin to demonstrate it. So certainly original style wheels with the chrome covers. There's a set of Michelin XZX tires in place, and they measure 185 SR15. So the old time measurement, making these Michelin XZX a very period correct choice for the tires. Now the current owners had this car. He's been the custodian of this car since 2020. And he noted that the tires went on before his ownership. So we're not sure on age of the tires. Certainly a good look at them tells us they're in pretty darn good condition, but we're not sure of the age. The owner also mentions that outside of the 1,500 or so miles he's driven it, the car has always been stored inside. I'm just gonna put this transmission in gear for the rest of the video. So, pretty smart doors, nicely functional, no trouble with these old doors. The restoration, despite being in the 90s, still really shows. Sure close there. And we've got, being that the fenders over the rear wheels jut out a bit, they're protected by this, I'll call it a metal gravel guard. It looks like it might be aluminum actually. And then a nice further chrome appointment over the wheel, all the way back to the tail light here. So yeah, really basic looking tail lights. I saw the owner with the car with the lights on. You can take a look at our detailed listing. You can see the lights with lights both on and using the brake lights, the old time incandescent look. And then, so no bumper on the rear, just the chrome bumperettes, finished in chrome, as I say, and the matching single exit that's polished as well. Now, around the license plate, you can see a gap in this panel and up above. That's because the spare tire, you need that tool as well. For this one, the original tool still works, but you use that tool through those, and that's where the spare tire is stored horizontally. We do have pictures of it on the detailed listing of it stored, and we pulled the tire out for a good look at it as well. So beautiful paint here with the white. There's another Triumph badge here on the rear of the car. We're making our way around. I skipped the tire on the driver's rear, but here's a good look at the one for a passenger side rear. Again, Michelin XZX with the Steelies and a beautiful chrome finished cap with the Triumph logo of the period with the map of the world, signifying British dominance through the Industrial Revolution, at the start of the Industrial Revolution. Here's another look at one of those gravel guard aluminum protectors for the rear wheel treatment, and the chrome strip that heads back all the way to the trim for the tail lights. Matching low slung door here on the passenger side. I showed it to you on the driver's side, but nice sure open and close here as well. Now you can see these items here, and those are for, I've heard them called racing covers. I've heard them called tonneau covers, but you can see it continues here on the dash. So that's to cover the car without putting the top up during a time of non-use. So that tonneau cover is included with the car. Right now, we have the parade boot in place, and that makes use of the same, I'll call them rivets, to attach the parade boot as would be used for the tonneau cover. I missed this on the driver's side, but these windshield wings, I guess I'll call them, windshield wind wings, complement both the windshield and those side curtains I was mentioning. but adjustable. So being that you can adjust them, you can get the right amount of breeze blowing into the cabin during open air motoring. Nice appointment here, these hinges on both sides. They didn't leave much out with the chrome trim. So we got chrome trim there, as well as chrome trim wiper arms and even wiper blades other than the actual rubber contacts on the blades. So a matching chrome appointment on the front fender like we saw on the rear, coming all the way up to the full bumper here up front, and with the chrome bumperettes. So that's a good look at the exterior of the car. Oh, look at that. The fan just got scared of us and turned off just as we came by. So the car's nice and cool. And let's take a look at the inside of the car. It's not going to take very long. It's a pretty compact little cabin, but it really is in beautiful condition. Probably worth pointing out that this car is equipped with 3-point belts. I'm not going to be able to fasten that, I don't think, with just one hand. But 3-point harnesses. Well, I got it fastened, but I didn't lie. I needed my second hand. 3-point harnesses for both passenger and driver. And these attachments are where those side curtains fit in. So this is a fair weather car, and certainly the owner's only driven it in fair weather. I speculate also that it's been driven only in fair weather since the restoration in the 90s, given its presentation. But it can be driven with the top up and those side curtains in place. Good look at the floor here, and that carpet peels back and we can see a nice clean floor underneath. 3 pedals for the manual transmission, and the bright lights control over there on the left, foot control. But compact little seats, bucket seats. The red vinyl finish still looks great all these years later, and the white piping really does make it pop, really wakes it up, and matches, of course, the beautiful white exterior. This one's a bit of an anachronism. I was teasing the owner a bit about it. He's very traditional in the British cars, but he's managed to fit a cup holder here into the center console. And there's the little shifter, 4-speed manual. And I'm not sure if the camera can see that or not. The keys are kind of getting in my way, but it is Triumph branded up top. Instrumentation by Smiths. The speedometer tops out at 120 miles an hour, while the tach max reading is at 6,000 RPM with a red line of 5,000 RPM. And in the center stack, there are other gauges: coolant temperature, oil, fuel gauge, and a voltmeter. As I say, the knob on the left is for the starter, and there's a choke on the right, and then the center knobs are for controlling the air circulation in the cabin. Rear view mirror sort of mounted on the dash as opposed to hanging down from the top of the windshield. A handle for the passenger's ingress and egress with the small glove box. And there's a little bit of an area here on the rear with a parcel shelf. You can fit a few things in there. I don't know that this is your typical grocery getter, but you can carry a few items. Now we'll get another last look at that parade boot and move to the trunk. Very simple little lever here. Handle just opens up like that. There is a prop rod here. It's going to be a quick look at the trunk. I'm not going to set the prop rod. I had it open earlier. There are photos of the prop rod in place on our detailed listing. The trunk lid, very presentable, no imperfections. And then a carpeted trunk, carpet to match the cabin. Further photos on our detailed listing, as I say. So one more walk around the exterior, and we'll move to some closing thoughts. Really a fine British automobile, very well presented, with the white over the red with white piping. 1961 Triumph TR3 with the 4-speed manual and a Roadster. So that's a good look at our 1961 Triumph TR3 Roadster with 4-speed manual transmission, restored in the 90s, beautifully restored, low miles since, very apparent from the condition it remains in, beautiful condition still, in the hands of the current owner since 2020, and in that time he's done about 1,500 miles. It's going to be lot 226 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Please take a look at our detailed listing. One thing I haven't mentioned yet is that this car comes with a whole host of parts, which we'll have photographs of in our detailed listing. And the owner's also gone to the trouble of listing them all out. So look for those listed out and itemized on our detailed listing, as well as owner's manuals, parts manuals, service manuals. It's really apparent that that this car has been owned by a lifelong Triumph sports car lover. He used to race Triumphs in the 60s and 70s, and he recently made a friend of the site very happy by selling him directly his 1966 TR4 race car. Those who pay attention to our What We've Seen pages may have noticed it back in February. So again, 1961 Triumph TR3, TR3A on this side of the pond, TR3 in the UK. And again, it came originally with a 1998cc engine. In the 90s, that was upgraded to TR4 sleeves and pistons. So it's displacing somewhere around 2138 cc's. We'll get that exact number on our detailed listing, or you can just look up factory spec for a TR4, because those are the parts that went into this TR3's engine. That's about all we have to say for this one. Thank you for watching, and on to the next car. Hi everyone, and we've got another great car for you here on the Car Reviews Podcast with CollectorCarCanada.CA. Today we have a 1972 Triumph TR6. It's been in the hands of the, I guess we'll call him a retired race car driver. He used to race Triumphs in the 60s and 70s. And he bought this one for his wife in 2017. They haven't done many miles in it, maybe 2,500 he estimates. But it's a car in beautiful condition with some really great improvements on the modification side. So we'll get into that as we walk around the car when I'm holding the camera in my hand. For now, I'll give it a start, and we'll take a listen to the engine, and we'll hear the exhaust pipe sing, and then we'll begin with the tour of the car. So, without further ado, pretty easy start for this 72 Triumph with a 2.5 liter inline 6-cylinder engine. And we've got a nice idle here at about 850 RPM. So I'll jump out of the driver's seat, grab the camera to hold it in my hand, and we'll take a closer look at the engine. Okay, as you see, we have the hood up. Pretty conventional setup on this 72 TR6 for the hood. There's a release inside the cabin at the driver's cockpit area, and then a second release just by the cowl near the passenger side. So here we have a very clean engine compartment. I'm pretty impressed. 2.5 liter inline 6. And you can see the twin SU carbs over here doing their thing. Rad band spinning, and we've got a nice drive belt spinning as well. One thing the owner pointed out to me is that this insulation on the underside of the hood is aftermarket, and it was quite a common thing for TR6 owners to have blistering on the inside of their hoods of the paint due to the heat of the engine. So he's addressed that. So I'll just move the camera in with the microphone, and we can have a good listen to this 2.5 liter inline 6 running. tidy engine compartment. Like I say, for a 52-year-old car, I don't always find them looking like this. Even this label is not only intact, but quite presentable. We're not making any secret of the car having been repainted, however, in its original Triumph Sienna Brown. It's a beautiful paint job with a red pinstripe. There's a better look at those SU carbs. Another important feature not spoiled by the repaint. I'll make my way back to the rear of the car. We can get a listen to the twin pipes back here singing their song. So there's a good listen to the engine and the exhaust. So I'll cut the engine now. We don't need it running. And I'll try to get this hood down with one hand while I hold the camera. We'll see how I do. No problem at all. It's a pretty simple little locking setup mechanism there. And down it goes. So, beautiful time of day to be shooting too. We got a beautiful day today for our video shoot here of the 1972 Triumph TR6. We have that one as this one as lot 225 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. So just moving in to some of the details. There's a better look at that red pinstripe on the Triumph Sienna Brown repaint in the original color. Big round headlights on the TR6s. And TR6 beauty badge up front. Chrome bumpers. I did find a minor imperfection on each of the front and the rear bumper. So I'll put a loonie up here to give you a sense of perspective. It's a little tricky to see. It's a pretty minor imperfection. I'll move the camera around a little bit. Maybe that'll help. But we did catch it in the photos. We've already done the photos of this car, and you can refer to the detailed listings photo gallery to get a good look at it. So we've got a big set of beefy tires on this car. I really like the look of them. So we've got a set of Koenig 8-spoke wheels. I don't know if I call these mini lights, but certainly they're the mini light look with the Koenig name brand. There's a look at the center cap denoting the Koenig brand. Continental tires, pure contact. Square setup on the tires, same size all the way around. 205, 65, 16. The tires are very low mileage. You can see the date of them is 2013. They've been on the car 10 years. They were installed by a prior owner, being that the current owner purchased this car in 2017. As I said earlier, I believe he's done about 2,500 miles, he believes, over the past 7 years. So low mileage, and he expects the previous owner to have done sort of the same rate per year. So low mileage on the tires, and as I feel for the tread here, there's lots of tread, and these cars have always been stored indoors in climate controlled conditions. So the tires look good despite their 2013 date code. Here's a neat little piece from the era. We don't see British Leyland cars anymore, but the British Leyland badge, the fender badge, is in place on both sides of this car. Nice clean windshield, a triplex branded, so I believe that would be OEM for the 72 TR6s. I see it on a lot of British cars, notably Jaguars. And one exterior mirror, although it does have, I guess I'll say, one mirror assembly with two mirrors on it, a plain mirror and a concave mirror as well, sort of bullet shaped as the red pinstripe continues. And then a look at the first rear Koenig wheel. As I say, same size front and rear, square setup, but equally presentable. I haven't seen any marks on these wheels. And as I said earlier, the tires look good. chrome bumper in the rear to match that in the front. Nice TR6 emblem. And another nice chrome appointment here is the sport rack or luggage rack. I don't think it's had much use in current ownership, but it's certainly there. And a simple gas cap, nothing to remove. That just flips up. Nice and clean under there as well. We do have some photos of the car with the top up and some close-ups of the top itself. But here's a good look at the parade boot that the current owner put on for us in advance of the video and most of our photos. And despite all the performance modifications, which we get into in detail on the detailed listing, the car certainly has the appearance of a stock TR6. Mind you, I suppose the wheels give it a little more of an aggressive look. But here's a two-pipe exhaust system. And we've got your standard tail lights as well for a 72 TR6. This big add-on to the chrome bumper, that's just the light assembly for the license plate light. I don't know if I can capture that with the camera or not, but there's an attempt at it. There you go. So again, clean underneath as well. Maybe I'll give us a bit of a look underneath. It's always a little trickier on grass. I might add that we're not shooting this video on flat ground. The owner's got a beautiful property. You can see trees all around and green grass. However, we couldn't find any flat ground without a distracting background. So that's why we're here sort of towards the end of his driveway on a bit of a grade. Here's Koenig number 3. Just as clean as the first two we saw. And another look at the fantastic parade boot. I don't see any perfections on this. We're blessed with a temperate day today, so it was pretty easy to handle, being that the vinyl loosens up a little bit in the warm weather. And here's another look at a British Leyland badge. We don't see those anymore, but a matching one here on the passenger side fender to that on the driver's side. A manual antenna in place. It goes up easily enough. There are pictures of it on our detailed listing, both elevated and at rest. And then here we go for Koenig number 4, also unmarked. There's a good look at the front disc system. And looking back to the brakes in the rear, they still are the original disc setup, or sorry, drum setup in the rear. So front discs and a drum setup in the rear for the braking. So all in all, a really presentable TR6. It rivals one we had last year and sold that it was freshly restored, like under 100 miles since restoration. I'd say this one rivals that one, and that was quite a presentable car, and I know it made the new owner quite happy. But again, a 1972 Triumph TR6 with an inline 6-cylinder 2.5 liter engine. I'm not sure if I mentioned this yet or not, but the transmission has been upgraded to a Toyota 5-speed transmission. So 5-speed manual by Toyota. Again, there are several performance upgrades on this car. I'm not going to know them all off the top of my head, and the video, we don't have enough time on the video to itemize them all. Please do take a look at our detailed listing where you will see them all itemized. And another great thing about this car is it comes with oodles of spares, including the original transmission, I might add. So we've got photographs of them as well, but a big long list of spares. Just refer to the detailed listing again, lot 225. So let's climb inside. I'll give you a little tour of the inside of the car. Maybe I won't sit in. It's a nice compact 2-seater. I feel like I can show most of it to you by standing on the side. So here we have a Triumph branded 3-spoke steering wheel. The instrumentation up on the left, we've got a speedometer, which maxes out at 140 miles an hour. The tachometer looks like the max is 7,000, but they don't, maybe 8,000, but it's not labeled beyond the 5,500 RPM red line. While this car was produced before the Canada embraced the metric system, this is a US market car. It's got some past in Virginia, and that's where it underwent a big restoration. You can see New York State inspection certificates here as well. So I'll add too that all of the instrumentation, here we've got some accessory gauges in the center for water temperature, oil, fuel level, and an amp meter. It's all by Smiths, a common thing in British cars of the day. Little clean ashtray up here. We've got an original looking AM radio. Of course, I already demonstrated the antenna. And we've got HVAC controls in the form of knobs here, also in the center stack. Here's the shifter, also branded with the Triumph insignia. I might add that, again, that this car has a Toyota 5-speed transmission. This is just a little cup holder on the side, handy and pretty low maintenance. It's easily removed if you don't like the look of it. But as I say, handy to have sitting on the shifter right there. Seats in beautiful condition as well. I'll call them tobacco, and they've been refinished in a tobacco vinyl. Matching boot for the handbrake. The boot for the shifter is in black. And that one feels like leather to me. Got set up all-weather Triumph mats, and they're sitting above the original looking anyway, Triumph tobacco colored mats. And there's a good look at the floor. So I'll only pull that out here on the driver's side, but we do have photos of both footwells on our detailed listing to show off how clean that floor is underneath the carpets. Pretty amazing actually for a 1972. Spending a little time with this car, I'm really starting to appreciate it. So I'll get that rubber mat back into place as well. 3-point harnesses for both driver and passenger. And then a little bit of storage space here behind the seats. And the parade boot, as I say. We do have pictures, as I say, with the black vinyl top in place. There is an imperfection on that. Take a look at our gallery for that. So I have shown you under the hood. Maybe we get a look at this trunk as well. Another great period feature of Triumphs. You raise it, and this little mechanism catches and props the trunk up. So trunk lid looking very clean, as is the carpet within the trunk. Cool branded. I think that's just in place to cover the carpet here in the trunk with some specs on it as well. So a real prize for the Triumph enthusiast, British car enthusiast, I guess I could say. And then underneath this tobacco colored carpet, a pretty solid trunk floor. And then underneath that, we do have a spare with the original looking red line tire. I don't know if I'd want to use those every day, but certainly it is a reminder of the past with the red lines. I might add that among the spare parts is a set of original wheels for this 72 Triumph TR6. Simple release here to get that trunk down. You just press this in and you get that released, and down the trunk goes. Perhaps I should call it the boot, being that we're working with a British car. But I'll take one more walk around it, and then we'll move along to some closing thoughts on the 1972 Triumph TR6 with 5-speed Toyota manual, a Roadster body type, and it's going to be lot 225 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. a real looker, this one. I'm really impressed by it. It's fun to get around all these older cars, just being 52 years old, and find them in this condition. There's a look at the profile of it. Wow. Okay. So there's a good look at our 1972 Triumph TR6, refinished in its original Triumph Sienna Brown. It comes with a 2.5 liter inline 6-cylinder engine, fed by twin SU carbs. The transmission's upgraded to a Toyota 5-speed unit, so a nice step up from the 4-speed original transmission, which is included with the car. But please take a look for it on CollectorCarCanada.CA, lot 225. Thank you again for watching, and on to the next car. Hi everyone, and welcome to another car here on the Car Reviews Podcast with CollectorCarCanada.CA. Today we have a 1972 Ford Mustang convertible. So this one's equipped with a 302 cubic inch V8 engine, originally rated at 141 horsepower. It's got an automatic transmission, 3-speed automatic. So this is a really original looking car with the original owners until earlier this year, when a mechanic bought it from the estate, fixed what needed attending to, and now it's time for him to move the car along to the lucky next owner. So a pretty solid looking car, and the one owner pedigree really helps it in my mind. There are, I won't call it an original paint car. There are portions of the car that have been repainted, but a really good looking paint job in a kind of a dark mustard yellow with the black stripe down the side, with tan, I guess I'd call it, interior. A lot of original appointments. None of this dash on the inside's been molested, but we'll get to that in a moment. For now, what I'll do is I'll start up the car and pop the hood. We'll take a look at the engine and a little listen to the exhaust, and then away we go with a tour of the car. Nice easy start there, I would say. So we've got the 302 V8 running. I won't open the door until I need to. These 73 Fords are relentless with that buzzer when the door's open with the car running. So I'll pop the hood right now first, and then we'll take a look. Here comes the buzzer. I'm gonna put the camera on pause. In case anyone thought I had to do a release from the cabin, that was a fib, because the only hood release was right here on the exterior of the hood. So we'd pop that, and then another one up above, and here we are with a nice spring system. Keep the hood up. So there's a good look at the 302 cubic inch V8 engine. So right around 5 liters in metric. I think technically it's about 45 cubic centimeters, but I could be corrected on that. So let's get a good listen down by the belts. Running pretty nice. Nice even idle. Another side of the belts. A little tour of the engine. There's a Motomaster battery. Shock towers look pretty healthy. Same with the stabilizer bars back to the cowl. And that blue engine, I don't know if we're going to see it with this light, but on the valve cover there it says powered by Ford. Any period appointment that Ford put on its V8s at the time. So we'll close up that hood. Let's give a listen to the exhaust back here. So we got a single exhaust over here on the passenger side with the 302. Sounding like a pretty hot, healthy idle. So we'll cut that engine and we'll take a close look. So just haven't got all the 411 on the paint here, but I can see a bit of a difference in the shade here between fender and hood. Yet this side of the fender is a closer match to the hood. So I'm thinking maybe that hood's been repainted and the fender's just showing signs of sun fading over the years. I'll try to get more information from the owner on that, and we'll get that onto our detailed listing at CollectorCarCanada.CA. I don't have a lot number for this one just yet, So please just go on to CollectorCarCanada.CA. If you search for 1972 Ford Mustang convertible, you'll find this one. So we got a set of Hercules white wall tires, which suit the car. The tires have good grippy tread. They're a little on the older side. I think I saw a date code on the other side. I can see on this side, the 50th week of 2011. But if you look at that rear tire, which is where we'd expect to find wear on this rear drive car, they've got very grippy tread. So I really do like the black stripe down the side. That's a period piece. Certainly, if not factory installed, maybe dealer installed. Mustang badge at the base of the fender here. There are color-coded exterior mirrors on either side. As I look at what a pre-17 character VIN looked like. And I even noticed that the windshield here is Ford glass. I was impressed by that. But yeah, overall a clean car. We not only have underside photos of this car, we've got a video of this underside of this car. It's probably a minute and a half or 2 minutes long, so you can get a good sense of what this car is like underneath. The condition underneath certainly supports the fine condition of this body that we see right now. I have not seen any rust on this car. I do see some paint upset here. But yeah, another neat Mustang emblem here on the base of the trunk. This would be where fuel goes, here on the rear, and a kind of a dual purpose cap with the Mustang emblem on it. All the way around, we've got the Ford Motor Company caps with trim rings, and the white wall Hercules tires. Same all the way around. I know they're a 14-inch wheel. I believe this tire is a 185/70/14, but let's take a look. Oh, I undersold it. 215/70R14. So 215s all the way around. Fixed antenna. It's not to worry about a power antenna on an older car. And that iconic look of the first generation Mustang in the center with the hexagonal openings in the grille and the familiar Mustang emblem in front of the red, white, and blue stripe. And that Mustang, if anyone wondered, it's pointing to the left very deliberately. When the 65 Mustang appeared in 1964, the Iacocca was after a certain market, and it was the market of people who are being told to go west, young man. So that's why it looks like it's westbound. So we'll jump into the cabin of the car. Nice tan interior, pretty smart. I would suggest that the front seats have been recovered because they're covered in vinyl throughout. Whereas, oh, I lie. That looked like a cloth to me, but it's also a vinyl. So I'll inquire about that finish on these too, because if the front seats are recovered, someone went to the trouble of getting the same pattern and getting those chrome rectangles. If they're round, I'd call them buttons, but those chrome pieces in place to match the rear. So smart looking interior. Before I forget, I'll just mention that the rear seat's got 2 lap belts. And there's that buzzer. We don't need those keys in the ignition, so I think I'll pull them out. So yeah, so there's a all-weather mat here, but that's just protecting a smart looking. So continuing the tour with the interior, power top on this 72 Mustang convertible. There's the switch for it there beside the headlight switch. Hood release, parking brake release, parking brake down there. You can see that brake pedal is labeled disc brake. So the 302 engine is the smaller one compared to the 351. So we've got more basic instrumentation, I suppose, to match. Speedometer up to 120, fuel gauge in the center, and then a cluster of warning lights over here on the left. Cigarette lighter and wiper washers over on this side, matching this side's controls. The original Philco AM radio in place with that fixed antenna I showed you earlier. A little cubby there for storage with a Mustang emblem. And there's a look at the shifter for the 3-speed automatic. And a clock, which is still functioning. I'm really impressed by that. Often these 50-year-old clocks on the domestics are no longer running. Ashtray in there, nice and clean. There are some personal effects in that glove box, so I'll skip it. And the owner's added a water temperature gauge here. That's a control for a vent. So for the feet of the passenger. Manual windows, manual locks. Not too fancy on this 1972 Ford Mustang convertible. And again, another look at that rear seat. There's a rubber mat here, but the same matching carpeted mats as in the front, although that fancy embroidered emblem is not in place on the rear mats, which is pretty normal. Only the lap belts for all 4 passengers with the convertible top. There's nowhere to really anchor a shoulder belt, so it's just a lap belt. So we'll have another walk around the 1972 Ford Mustang convertible here with the 302, and then we'll end up with some closing thoughts on it. So yeah, very presentable car. Not trying to be anything it's not. All right, so that's a good look at the 1972 Ford Mustang convertible. Again, this Mustang is equipped with a V8 engine, 302 cubic inches, factory rated at 141 horsepower. These engines, however, are pretty easy to work on and modify if the new owner is so inclined. You can get a little more juice out of them. The torque rating is much higher. We'll have that exact rating on the detailed listing, so have a look there for it. 3-speed automatic transmission, sending the power to the rear wheels only. It's got the 14-inch wheels with the Ford Motor Company covers. I'm pretty sure those are original, certainly original style, with the chrome trim rings and the white wall tires, which really suit the car. Give it a period correct look for 1972. So again, thank you for watching. Don't forget also our Collector Car Stories podcast, where we talk to an enthusiast once a week about their car, a car story, or a road trip they might have gone on that we think might be fun for people to hear about. If you're such a person and have something you think we'd benefit from, please contact us. Maybe you can be on a future episode. There's a contact us page on the website, or just email us at admin@CollectorCarCanada.CA. Again, watch for this 1972 Ford Mustang convertible. Hi everyone, and welcome to another great car here on the Car Reviews Podcast with CollectorCarCanada.CA. Today we have a 1973 Mercedes-Benz 450 SL. So the R107 is the body code for this style of SL. They ran from 1972 through 1989, and they came with 3 powertrains. This is the first. So 450 SL implies a 4.5 liter engine. It's a V8, and this one is, as you'd expect, the instrumentation is in miles per hour because it was built before Canada went to the metric system. It shows a little under 137,000 miles. So this car will go to its new owner under 137,000 miles. So what I'll do is I'll start it up. You can have a listen to the start. I'll pop the hood. We'll take a closer look, and then we'll start touring the car. So here we go with the startup. So a nice easy start. Running idling nice and smoothly. And I'll head over, grab the camera via handheld, and we can take a look under the hood. First thing I'll do is pop it from here. While I'm thinking of it, I will say that the tachometer does not seem to be working. I'll have a word with the owner. The owner is a licensed mechanic. He owns his own shop here in Cambridge, although he's had this car 11 or 12 years. So I expect it's tip-top mechanically, being that it's owned by a mechanic. But as I say, this tachometer is not working. A couple of other little things I've noticed. There's a sun visor here on the driver's side. There is not one on the passenger side. It's missing over there. But yeah, otherwise a pretty solid car, I think. So here's a better look at the 1973 Mercedes-Benz 450 SL. You can see the hood's open a crack. I already released it from inside the cabin. And to get at it, the release is through the 3-pointed star here. And there are prop rods, a spring system to keep the hood up. No need for a prop rod. So here's a good look at the 4.5 liter engine. I'll get close to the belts and you can have a listen. engine's already spinning. It's a warm day that we're shooting this video. Here's another look at here's a look at the other side of the belts. So valve covers on either side with the V8, of course. And the battery looks like a fairly new one, AC Delco. So not a spotless engine compartment, but everything certainly looks functional. I don't see any brittle rubber. It all looks pretty supple. And the original hood insulation looks a bit worn, but it's in place. And all the original badging is in place, as you'd expect. And the option codes, we'll decode those on our detailed listing on CollectorCarCanada.CA. I don't have a lot number for this car at this moment. We're shooting this one in advance of listing it on the site. But if you search on the site for a 1973 Mercedes-Benz 450 SL, I'm thinking this one will come up. So I'll take a walk around. I noticed that there's a matching set of 4 Michelin MXV tires, which are period correct for this car. And I also noticed period correct Mercedes wheel covers. So they got a little snazzier as this model wore on through 1989, as I was saying. But these ones look genuine to me for a 1973. Just noticing this here. There's a little bit of a point paint spoilage there. There are a couple imperfections on the exterior of the car. I'll try to point those out as we go. The top's currently down, as you see. So this car has a canvas fabric top that's stowed in here. I'm not going to pull it out, but we do have pictures of it on our site on the detailed listing with the top up, and of course many with the top down. The car also includes a removable hard top. So 3 options for above your head: open air, canvas top, or hard top. The hard top is stored at the owner's residence, and that's not where we're filming this, so we're not going to get a video of it. So here's a little more wear on the paint, and I see. I don't think we need the engine running, although maybe we'll get a sound. We'll get a listen to the sound of the idle here from the exhaust pipes. But yeah, now I think I can cut the engine. Oh, you know, the horn works. Sorry about that, folks. So I do notice an antenna here. I saw a power mechanism when I had the trunk open. I haven't had the radio on, so I'm not positive this power antenna works. One thing I did do earlier with the car is pull it up manually, so I know manually certainly the antenna will assist with the radio reception. I'll try to get some intel on whether or not that power antenna motor works. So you'll notice sort of different from a 380 SL, a 1984 Mercedes-Benz 380 SL we sold recently. It would have had bigger bumpers. So in 1973, it's before the bumper standards changed in the 70s. You can see these bumpers are a little slimmer, certainly more appealing to the eye. I will point out though that some of the chrome is upset here, and same thing on the other side, both here and here. So if you wanted a tip-top car, you're looking at having to get that chrome refinished. Certainly perfectly functional the way it is. I already showed you the 2 pipes on the exhaust. And here are these brilliant 70s and 80s Mercedes taillights I like so much. They're ridged here so that if dirt or snow were to get on these taillights, the part on the inside is still going to be visible to the other driver. So a great safety feature. 450 SL badge. And again, that implies a 4.5 liter engine. This one's a V8. There's the 3-pointed star. Good look at the rear of the car. I'm not going to open the trunk. We do have photos of the trunk on our detailed listing. I'm not going to open it now because there are some personal items in there. One thing I did notice when we were in it before for the photo shoot is that there's no carpet in the trunk. Pretty clean here in the gas filler area. A little bit of information, I think, about tires there on the label. Another Michelin MXV over here on the passenger's rear. Again, a matching set of 4 Michelin MXV tires. Here's something you probably wouldn't find in chrome on a modern car. Chrome side mirrors, chrome cap side mirrors on either side. And the iconic front end of an SL R107. R107 being the body code internally at Mercedes for this car, which, as I say, ran from 1972 through 1989. Quite a long and successful run. And you'll see the 2 headlights on either side, implying that this one is a North American market car. A couple white fog lights as well on either side of those bumperettes. 3-pointed star through the grille, and then one up above here on the front of the hood. So there's a good look at the exterior. Let's climb in and have a look at the cabin. Now this 1973 Mercedes-Benz 450 SL does show signs of wear. It does show signs of its age of 51 years. I don't see any splits in the seats, but you can see that they're worn. Certainly the driver's seat's worn. The passenger seat is a little better. And these come from a day when shoulder belts were attached to the lap belts. Some people wore them and some people didn't. My colleague earlier was shocked when I told him that when this car was built, seatbelts were not mandatory in Ontario. I think that law came into place around 1976 or 1978, somewhere around there. We'll look at the door card. Nice map pocket in there. Power windows. You'll see the power window switches in the center console there. And the original VIN and tire information is in place there. I noticed also that all of the glass has the Mercedes-Benz 3-pointed star. So that's an interesting feature for a car that's 51 years old. And for a photo op, I had this wheel turned. I'll turn it straight so that we can see the instrumentation. Oh, that's nice, easy power steering. Very nice. So there we go. On the left, we've got 3 gauges in one roundel. So oil pressure, water or coolant temperature, and fuel level. Central speedometer, max reading of 160 miles per hour. As I was saying earlier, this car comes from before Canada went to metric, so only the miles per hour reading. And this car will go to the new owner with under 137,000 miles. And over here we've got the tachometer up to 7,000 RPM with a red line of 5,800. Currently non-functional. I'll try to look into that, get something on the detailed listing about whether or not the new owner can expect it to be functional. Multifunction stock here, wipers and turn signal. The emergency brake on this car is at the foot. So here's the release for that. And light controls, ignition over here. I'll just point out this driver's mat. I think it's original, but it is showing sure signs of its 51 years of age. The passenger mat looks just as original, but in much nicer condition. There's a period, I don't see Alpine on there. Yeah, sure enough, it's an Alpine AM/FM cassette. I said period, it's more like the period of the last one we sold, which was an 84. I pegged this head unit at mid-80s, state-of-the-art with Alpine back there, 6 presets. I did note that this analog clock by VDO, just like the instrumentation over here, it's by VDO. It's still functional, that clock is. And while the car is equipped with air conditioning, the current owner advises that it's not currently blowing cold. He does advise, however, that the compressor is functional. There's the glove box, personal items in there. We won't open it up. Here's the original owner's manual, and a big stack of work orders and receipts, which with personal information on there we won't look at in detail in this video. So this 73 Mercedes-Benz 450 SL, not equipped with a back seat. So a pretty big storage area back here for parcels and such, parcel shelf I guess we call it. No rear seat, so this is a two-seater. Two-seat open air driving is what this car is made for. But that's a good look at it. One more walk around. and we'll get to some closing thoughts with it. So blue on tan, pretty sharp. We'll get the actual Mercedes-Benz names of those colors on the detailed listing. So there you have it, 1973 Mercedes-Benz 450 SL, equipped with a 4.5 liter V8 engine, rated out of the factory at 191 horsepower. Quite good for a V8 in 1973. It's got a automatic transmission. I'll have to check on the speeds. We'll get that built into our detailed listing. I'm not sure how many speeds that transmission is, but under 137,000 miles, owned by a licensed mechanic the last 11 or 12 years. He says he bought it for his wife, and she's just not driving it anymore, so it's time to move along from it. But here it is, available on CollectorCarCanada.CA. Watch for the lot number superimposed on the screen, but you'll find it as a 1973 Mercedes-Benz 450 SL if you put that in the search bar in CollectorCarCanada.CA. Thank you for watching. On to the next car.